Hi, and welcome to Comedy Punch, where we just keep hitting you and hitting you and hitting you with jokes. And today's subject is Little Jimmy jokes. So, Little Jimmy jokes. Everybody's heard Little Jimmy jokes. It's the little kid or the grown-up who's called Little Jimmy, who is not the brightest bulb in the box, but he does tend to get his own way. So let's start. Little Jimmy's doing his first maths lesson and he's struggling to figure out how this maths works. So the teacher, trying to help him, says, "Little Jimmy, if there were 5 birds sat on a phone wire and you took your rifle out and shot one of them, how many birds would be left?" And little Jimmy thinks for a few seconds and said, "None, miss." And she goes, "How do you figure that out, little Jimmy?" He goes, "Well, if I fired my gun, all of the birds would fly away, plus the one I'd shot." And she goes, "No, that's not the right answer, little Jimmy. The answer would be 4. But I like the way your mind works." He goes, "Miss, can I ask you a question?" She says, "Of course you can, little Jimmy." He goes, "If there are 3 ladies in a shop and they're all eating an ice cream and one of them's licking the ice cream, one of them's biting the ice cream and one of them's sucking the ice cream, which one's married?" The teacher, getting a little nervous and a bit uncomfortable, thinks and goes, Well, I guess the one that's sucking the ice cream." He goes, "No, miss, that's not the right answer. The right answer is the one wearing a wedding ring. But I like the way your mind works." He's older than his years, little Jimmy. If you're liking the jokes, don't forget to give this video a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe. So let's carry on. Little Jimmy's getting teased by the neighbourhood kids. They keep calling him stupid. The reason being is because they go up to him with 2 coins, one a 20p piece and one a 10p piece, and go, "Which coin do you want, little Jimmy?" And little Jimmy always takes the bigger coin, the 10p piece, but not the most valuable coin, the 20p piece. This goes on and on and on until a neighbour sees what's happening, walks up to little Jimmy and says, "Little Jimmy, those kids are teasing you and they're calling you stupid. You know that the 20p piece is worth far more, in fact twice as much, as the 10p piece. You should pick the 20p piece and make them stop calling you stupid." And little Jimmy says, "But Mr. Johnson, if I take the 20p piece instead of the 10p piece, they'll stop playing this game with me. And so far I've made £32. Little Jimmy's not done. Let's carry on. Little Jimmy pulls up to his best friend in a brand new truck. And his best friend goes, "Wow, that's a sweet truck, little Jimmy. How did you come by it?" He goes, "Well, there's a story there. You see, I'm walking home from my work and Mary Sue pulled alongside me in this here truck. And she said, 'Get in the passenger seat, little Jimmy. I'm taking you somewhere.' Well, I could either carry on walking in the hot sun or I could get inside a nice air-conditioned car. And let's be honest, travelling's better than walking." He goes, "Oh, you're smart, little Jimmy, because travelling is better than walking and an air-conditioned truck's far better than walking in the hot sun." He says, "Anyway, Mary Sue took me out into the woods. Then she got out of the car, took all of her clothes off, stood with her arms out and said, 'Take anything you want, little Jimmy.' So I took the pickup truck." And his friend goes, "Oh, you're super smart, little Jimmy, because her clothes wouldn't have fitted you." I don't think that's what she meant. So let's carry on. A teacher in little Jimmy's class is deciding to use her psychology degree on the kids to see how they'd react. So she says, "Okay kids, stand up if you think you're stupid." And nobody moves. But after a few seconds, very slowly, little Jimmy stands up. She goes, "Oh, little Jimmy, you think you're stupid, do you?" He says, "Not really, miss. I just felt sorry for you standing there on your own." Out in the playground, one of the teachers sees little Jimmy pulling faces at the girls. And she doesn't like that, so she storms up to little Jimmy, gets in his face and says, "Little Jimmy, you shouldn't pull faces. My mother told me when I was a little girl that if I was to pull faces like you're doing and the wind changed, my face would stay like that." Little Jimmy looks her straight in the eye and says, "Well, you can't say you didn't have fair warning." Listen, that's what this channel's all about. It's all about laughing, joke after joke after joke, and I hope you're enjoying the laughs. And if you are, give them a like, give this video a like. But also, what's your favourite joke? What's the joke that always tends to make you giggle and titter? Well, put it in the comments down below. And if in future videos I should happen to use your favourite joke suggested by you, I'll give you a shout out. I'll say, this one's dedicated to, and whoever you are. But it doesn't have to be too rude, because if it is, I can't actually use it on YouTube. But still, leave it in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe, that way you're not going to miss out on future jokes. Because this is, after all, Comedy Punch. So let's carry on with the little Jimmy jokes. Little Jimmy is sat on a plane, and all of a sudden a stranger sits next to him in the seat, turns to him and said, "Let's have a conversation." Little Jimmy groans, slowly closes the book he was going to read, turns to the guy next to him and said, "Okay, why?" And the guy says, "Well, I've read somewhere that on long boring flights, if you spark a conversation up with a stranger, find out about things, it makes the flight go so much quicker." "Okay," says little Jimmy, "why don't you pick a subject then?" And the guy thinks, he goes, "Oh, I don't know, how about nuclear science?" And little Jimmy says, "Yeah, okay, sounds like an interesting topic. But first, let me ask you a question." And the guy says, "Yeah, sure." He says, "A horse, a deer and a cow all eat grass for their sustenance. But a deer's poo is little pellets. A cow's poo are big sloppy pats. But a horse's poo are round balls. Why do you think that is?" And the guy scratches his head and goes, "I don't know, really." And he goes, "Well, if you don't know anything about crap, how the hell are you going to be able to talk to me about nuclear science?" Little Jimmy's older brother Frank has just got married to Mary, but they're dirt poor. They can't afford to go on a honeymoon, so they come back to Frank's parents' house to spend their honeymoon, their time from work. So they go upstairs on honeymoon night, and they're not heard of all night. And in the morning, little Jimmy comes down for breakfast and says, "Mum, has Frank and Mary come down from their room yet?" And she says, No, they haven't, little Jimmy." He goes, "Do you know what I think?" The mum straightens away, shuts him down and says, "I don't really care what you think, little Jimmy. You keep your thoughts to yourself now. Get off to school." So off he traipses to school. He comes home for his lunch and he says, "Mum, have Frank and Mary come downstairs yet?" And she says, "No, little Jimmy, they haven't come downstairs yet." He goes, "Do you know what I think?" And his mum again says, I don't care what you think, little Jimmy. I've told you this already. Nobody wants to know. Now go back to school. So after school he arrives at home and he says, Mum, have Frank and Mary come downstairs yet? And she says, no, little Jimmy, they haven't come downstairs yet. He goes, do you know what I think? And the mum's fed up now and she says, okay, little Jimmy, what do you think? He goes, well, Frank came into my room last night and asked me for some Vaseline, and I think I might have given him glue instead. Oh, they're stuck in the room. The teacher's playing a game of Guess What I Describe with the class. And she explains the rules. She says, I'm going to describe an object to you all, and I want you to tell me what you think it is. So let's start. She looks down and she says, the first object is long, it's yellow, it's a bit bendy, and you can eat it. And all the hands in the class go up. And she points to one of the little girls and says, yes, Susie, what do you think it is? And Susie goes, is it a pencil, miss? And she goes, oh no, Susie, it's not. I said you could eat it. You can't eat a pencil. No, this is a banana, but it shows you're thinking, Susie. Then she says, right, the next object. She looks down and she says, it's round, it's orange, and again, you can eat it. And all the hands go up. And she points to one of the boys and says, yes, little Davy. Davy says, is it a ball, miss? And she goes, no, Davy, I said you could eat it. You can't eat a ball. No, the name was in the clue. It's an orange. But it shows you thinking. And then she decides to switch it up. So she says, why don't one of you describe something to me and see if I can guess it? Well, all of a sudden the classes started giggling and only one hand is up, and it's little Jimmy. She thinks, oh, I dread this. But she goes, okay, little Jimmy, you describe something to me and see if I can guess it. But if it's rude, I'm sending you straight to the headmaster's office. He goes, okay, miss. And he looks down below the desk and he goes, well, it's about 2 inches long, it's stiff, and it's got a red end. She goes, okay, that's it, go straight to the headmaster's office. He goes, it's a match, miss. But it shows you thinking. So this is Comedy Punch, where I just keep hitting you with jokes. And today's subject was Little Jimmy jokes. Don't know what the next subject's going to be? Why don't you leave a comment down below and tell me what you'd like the next subject to be? Maybe it'd be teachers, granddads, grandmums. Maybe it'd be mother-in-law. Maybe it'd be fat jokes. I don't know. Maybe you should decide for me. Leave it in the comment down below. What would you like my next subject to be about? Anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, because you know what they say, laughter is the best medicine. Unless you've got syphilis, and then I recommend penicillin. Yeah, definitely go with penicillin. Don't laugh that one off. Anyway, you take care of yourself, people. Keep happy, keep laughing, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye now.
Oh, this you crazy mother.